Hi, boys and girls. Well, we're going to read a book about vehicles that travel into outer space. And the title of our book is called, How Do Space Vehicles Work? Wait a minute. I see a question mark at the end of our title. So I know that the punctuation used here is a question mark, which means this is an asking sentence. And I see the word how, which is an asking word. So this title is definitely a question. How do space vehicles work? And it's written and illustrated by Buffy Silverman. Well, let's find out. How do space vehicles work? Is our title page. Then we have our table of contents. So that shows me this book is going to give us some information about space vehicles, which is great since we asked a question. On the launch pad. A rail car carries a Soyuz spacecraft. The car brings it to the launch pad. The spacecraft will take astronauts to the International Space Station. Astronauts live and work there. A rocket and a capsule make up the spacecraft. The rocket will launch the capsule into space. The crew will ride in the capsule. Many people check the spacecraft. They practice the jobs they will do during the launch. Oh, that's that teamwork that we talked about, everyone working together in order to be able to have a successful launch. Workers load the rocket with fuel. Spacecraft need energy to reach space. The energy comes from the burning fuel. So there they are, getting it all ready in order to be able to launch. The rocket also carries oxygen. Fuel needs this gas to burn, and we know there's no oxygen in space, so in order for the fuel to burn, they need to take oxygen with them. The crew enters the capsule. The final hours tick down on the countdown clock. Time for liftoff. Liftoff. Rocket engines turn fuel into hot gas. Gas shoots out of the back of the rocket. The hot gas pushes the rocket. The rocket soars up. So we know that a push is a force, and it is pushing against the earth in order to make the rocket go up, and fighting against gravity, which is trying to pull it back down to earth. Gravity pulls on the spacecraft. Gravity is a force. It pulls things to earth. Like when you jump up, then gravity pulls you back down. It is a force. How does a spacecraft keep from being pulled back to earth? It speeds away. It travels more than 4 miles per second to reach space. Gravity is weaker there. So gravity is not strong up in space, which is why you get to be able to float around. The rocket has 3 sections. They are called stages. Each stage lifts the spacecraft for part of the launch. Each stage burns its fuel, then falls away. The rocket has less weight to lift. So here we have our different stages as it breaks away for the next part of the journey into outer space. Soon, the capsule splits from the rocket. It has reached space. In orbit. The capsule travels through space. It orbits Earth, so it's going around the Earth like the Earth goes around the sun. Try to launch a ball into orbit. Throw it hard, and it travels far. But Earth's gravity pulls on it. The ball curves, and falls down. Gravity pulls on a spacecraft in orbit too. The spacecraft is falling, but it travels very fast. The curve of its fall matches the curve of Earth, so it stays in orbit. So mathematicians had to figure a way to keep it at just the right distance for it to be able to orbit the Earth. There is no air in space. The temperature can be very hot or cold. A spacecraft keeps the crew warm or cool. It carries air, food, and water. Hey, those are things that we know that living things need in order to live. The space station also orbits Earth. The capsule reaches it after 2 days. So it takes 2 days of travel. Wow, that's really far. Hope they had a good movie. The Soyuz docks. It's connected to the space station. The astronauts will stay for 6 months. That's half a year. Returning to Earth. Other astronauts have worked on the space station for many months. They return to Earth in the Soyuz. The crew fires rockets to slow the capsule in space. It falls out of orbit. Gravity pulls it to Earth. So it's great because we've got a cool force which will help bring the astronauts back down to Earth. The ends of the capsule drop off. Only the middle part will return to Earth. Wonder what happens to the other parts. Do they just stay in space and orbit Earth forever? Or do they fall into the atmosphere and burn up upon impact? The capsule rubs against air as it enters Earth's atmosphere. This rubbing is called friction. You can create friction with your hand and you rub it on your face, and your face gets very hot. That is the heat of the friction that you created. Friction slows the speeding spacecraft. Parachutes slow it more. It floats safely to its landing spot. Parts of a space vehicle. So this we have stage 3, stage 2, stage 1. And then we have the nose fairing, which has the capsule inside of it. And then some fun facts. Well, my friends, I would like you to take a look in your packet and you will find a sheet that looks like this. Get it ready and scroll down below to see, what do you think you're going to be doing with these shapes? Have parallelograms, we have, a rectangle, a semicircle. I wonder what we're going to do. Scroll down and you'll find out what these parts are going to make all together.